views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hey there, how are you? It's time for the Bronx Buzz. This is the BronxNet television program where we talk to Bronx journalists, Bronx writers, Bronx editors, Bronx videographers, access producers, editors, whoever we can get to talk about what's going on inside the news. And this evening we're going to start with probably the biggest event of the week, and that was the Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. delivering his State of the Borough address at the former Samuel Gompers High School. It was actually at Hero High School. And to offer some commentary on it, it's our friend Michael Benjamin, who is with the New York Post Editorial Board. Nice to see you, Mr. Benjamin.
Glad to be on, Gary. Got to be on by Skype.
That's right. He's on via Skype from the New York Post. Michael, I have a number of questions, but I'm just curious your impression of the State of the Borough address.
Kind of sad to say, it readed like a checklist of the borough president's accomplishments, which is good. Knowing that he's a candidate for mayor in 2021, I was hoping for something a little different that would focus on more of a vision that he saw not only for the borough, but what he saw for the city of New York.
Well, he did. He certainly lists accomplishments. He's very happy about the job development. He was enthusiastic about the environmental developments in the borough with the solar panels and the solar farms that we've been doing. He was clear to talk about how he had donated computers to schools. But to me, the two quote-unquote innovations were about the two authorities, and those were things that he's talked about before, and that was the MTA and also with NYCHA. Let's start with the MTA. His suggestion that the city ought to take over the MTA as a way of clearing up that notion of an authority that nobody can seem to control. What are your thoughts? Good idea, not a good idea?
The city lost control of the MTA, of the transit authority, because not just because there was a feud between Lindsay and Rockefeller. It's because it wasn't running very well, and it did in fact need money. I'm not a fan of what the borough president is proposing and what Governor Cuomo has proposed to restructure the MTA board. New York City should have a larger voice and say in what goes on, and also contribute to the authority and to running, and to make sure there's money there and it gets run. But it is accountable to elected officials, both the governor and the mayor, because they have appointees that are there. And it is not just it's a regional transit agency. It's not just New York City bus and subways. It's an idea that now Council Speaker Corey Johnson has also glommed onto and trying to claim it as his own. And on Twitter, I reminded him that it was Borough President Diaz who first thought of New York City taking back control of its bus and subways.
Well, so in a way, in a roundabout way, I don't want to say blaming, but you're putting responsibility on voters, saying that, well, then you better get elected officials who know how to manage this thing. Am I understanding what you're saying correctly? Is that you're saying leave the structure as it is. Don't mess with the board. Let the control be what it is, but let the public be responsible to put the right people in place to manage this thing.
Not even that. It's for the governor and future governors and mayors to not interfere. This current governor has bigfooted everything in New York, whether it's bigfooting the city of New York and initiatives of Mayor de Blasio, or it's bigfooting the MTA on the L train shutdown. That's not his job. He's not elected to run every single agency in order to get headlines. Let the managers manage. He's tapped good people. Patrick Foy is a good manager. He knows how to run transit systems. Miss Hakeem over at Hakem at the MTA, she knows how to manage transit systems. Let them do their jobs. You don't have to bigfoot them to get headlines and to get accolades from the public, because he screwed up the entire L train shutdown, where it's creating more confusion and more problems for users of that line.
And solutions. Well, now it's abundantly clear to me where you where you put the blame, and you're saying it's not a matter of structure; it's a matter of, as you said, allowing managers to manage. One of the things
The mayors who have appointees on the board representing their views and letting the managers do their jobs. Andy Byford is a world-recognized transit expert. He's
right.
been in London. He's been in Toronto. He's been to major systems around the world. He knows how to do his job. Let him do his job.
I thought the borough president, while his passion was there, and while he showed a video of piles of garbage at a public housing project, and he accused the NYCHA's, the worst landlord in New York City is New York City. Kind of short on real answers, I thought, in terms of what he is proposing. He set up the hashtag, that people could have, which I think is good, a central place to complain. I don't know what the solutions are. He thought maybe they should get reduction in rent if they, if they have problems in their apartments. Although that, of course, would mean less money for NYCHA, and that's probably not going to be very helpful.
That's some of the problem as well. And a good number of NYCHA residents don't actually pay a lot of rent out of pocket. Some do have, housing vouchers that pay some of their rent. And only a few of the working class do, and then people ought to have, their rent held until the repairs are made. I would not reduce their rent. I would probably suggest holding the rent until the repairs are made, the way tenants in private housing can do in escrow until the repairs are made. And when repairs are made, they can then release the money to the authority, as sort of a carrot and a stick sort of thing. But the real issue that was concerning me with some of the borough president's suggestions in his speech was that he wanted the city to take over certain projects like the MTA.
Right.
Yet they're the same folks who haven't been able to run the public schools correctly or properly.
Or NYCHA.
They haven't been able to be successful with public education. Not successful with public housing, but yet they should be running bigger ventures. I don't want more city bureaucrats running things.
Yeah.
Let the MTA professionals do their jobs.
Interesting perspective there. He also brought up the idea of the location for the jail, and he was very clear to talk about how he believes the jail should be located near the courthouse, which certainly makes sense. I'm not aware of the mechanics. Has that ship already sailed? I mean, isn't the jail planned for Mott Haven, and it would take, I guess, a lawsuit or something to overturn that site?
It has been, but again, it's still going to have to go through the whole land use review. It's going to come before Councilman Salamanca's land use committee, so the Bronx will have an opportunity to weigh in further. But part of my confusion with the borough president's speech was that on one hand, he wants Rikers closed, but on the other hand, he doesn't want a jail in the Mott Haven community. He wants it over by the Bronx Hall of Justice, but there's no real space to put it.
Yeah.
I spoke to people there. The only space would be the parking lot and garage space that's there. It's sort of open, but it wouldn't be large enough for a proper jail facility. And also, we're forgetting that when they built that underground garage, it has had major structural issues. In fact, former city councilman Oliver Coppell did an investigation to show that they used shoddy concrete and shoddy techniques that led to cracking all over the Hall of Justice and in the underground parking structure. So I couldn't imagine them building a jail
on top of that,
that structure.
I want to weigh in on something that I frankly support very much. I was a little surprised at the amount of play he gave it in his press release, although it is now news, and it's I've seen it already in a couple of news outlets, and that was the idea of creating of Camp Junior. I'm, as you probably know, Michael, a big advocate for finding activities for kids, getting kids out of the Bronx and putting them in summer camps, the kind of things they don't get to do. I thought the establishment of this camp is a very good one. He has hopes of bringing hundreds of Bronx children up to Harriman State Park over the summer. I just hope that it can get funded Fresh Air Fund is going to, operate it. I just hope it's going to get funded, but I do like the concept.
Yeah, I agree. It's an interesting idea. It's an expansion of the Fresh Air Fund camp activities. So it's really nothing new other than it's new for the Bronx, and it's a tribute to the young man who died.
Junior Guzman, yeah.
It's a good thing to do, but it's positive. The Governor Cuomo has put money into it. I'm certain there'll be other funding coming in. I'm certain that corporations will make donations to it. And with the Fresh Air Fund running it, it's going to be well managed and properly done. And so those who would make philanthropic donations to it will do so. And I think it's a wonderful idea. And I'm hoping whoever succeeds Board President Diaz will continue it as well.
Michael, we have about a minute, and so I'm going to throw this out there. It was not directly in the speech, but it was something you and I talked about just before the show, and that is the idea of the collapse of the Amazon deal. And there was a New York Post editorial, and you said Errol at New York One mentioned that was similar to what had happened with the Armory, although that deal ostensibly is not dead. I think it's a relationship that goes both ways. Advocates who want minimum wage and better jobs will say that, well, that's why we didn't get related into the Armory. And advocates on the other side who will say, well, you lost all those jobs, will see it that way. I'm just curious how you see it. We got about a minute.
Well, I know on my editorial board, the borough president's statement when that happened with the Armory, that no jobs are better than low-paying jobs, will haunt him throughout his run for mayor. You're right. The advocates, folks who fought against Amazon, are saying the same thing. They want a union job. They want X, Y, and Z done. They wanted schools built. They wanted Amazon to only hire folks from Queensbridge houses, and they put lots of pressure. And Amazon, being as wealthy as they are, they just walked away.
Yeah, they said, "What the heck?" Anyway, Michael, we could debate this a long time, but we really got to go. I got another segment that I really want to give enough time to. Thank you for your time, and we will see you around town. Michael Benjamin, editorial board of the New York Post. All right, there we go. We're going to take a break. When we come back, a BronxNet public access producer has a real nice video to show, and also talk about some of her achievements in doing her program. Don't go away.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
It's not always easy being a dad.
Do you have panda asthma too? Does that run in the family? This is the home of the most priceless kung fu artifacts.
But when you make an effort,
Dad, we're not supposed to touch anything. Oh, sorry. Go along, son.
it's always worth it.
Whoa, master!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
I am gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Hey, it's Ava, and this is Tess from Vivo's Do It Yourselfie, where we recreate the hottest looks from today's biggest music videos.
After cleaning out our closet, we have a lot of clothes we don't wear anymore.
Like this old t-shirt.
It's not garbage, it's actually a brand new rug.
And to make it, all you need to do is cut, tie, and glue.
Cut the t-shirt into strips.
Tie the strips into knots.
And glue the knots to the bath mat. I love it. Give your garbage another life.
And recycle.
Hey, we're back with you on the Bronx Buzz, and we do thank Michael Benjamin, the New York Post. Kitty Rose from Natural Sessions is here. She is a BronxNet so-called access producer, but she really takes very seriously in the programs that she does. Nice to have you with us once again.
Hey, Gary. Thank you for having me back.
It's a treat to have you. So let's just talk about Natural Sessions. After all, this is a natural session.
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
this is who I am, who I am. You know, she is who she is. But tell me about Natural Sessions, what the philosophy is, how long you've been doing it, etc.
Well, like you said, Natural Sessions is just this. It's a conversation that I have with another real person, sometimes a celebrity.
As opposed to fake people.
As far as a fake person. But we have candid, raw conversations that are not necessarily had, but outside of having the conversation, we provide the solution of what's next. So once you get that light bulb moment, what do? And my show kind of covers to how to move forward.
How long have you been doing it?
We are going into our third season. Or we're just finishing our third season.
The third
season. And we air now Thursdays, 12 a.m.
Well, so wait, so it's really Wednesday night.
I think so.
Everybody, so it's Wednesday at midnight.
It's Wednesday at midnight.
We were just talking beforehand, you like the idea of shooting outside.
Yes.
And so tell me some of the places you've shot and why do you like shooting outside?
Well, I like shooting outside because, one, I just like to break up the monotony of talk show television because all of the shows...
hey, we love talk. There's nothing monotonous about talk show television.
No, Bronx Buzz, plug.
And Bronx Talk,
yeah,
there you go.
But we just, just to give something visually pleasing to look at outside of the studio. And I also like going to people's location because since my show is an intimate show anyway, that people are sharing very intimate things about themselves, usually if you go into their space, they're a lot more comfortable. So I like getting them to bring their guards down and really tell their truth.
You know, I didn't think about it till literally this moment, but you did that with me.
I did.
They went to the playground that I
grew up in.
in my neighborhood, and we did it. Had I thought of it, we would have grabbed the clip and we could have shown what that looked like.
Next time.
Next time, that's fine. Any unusual places that you've shot or places that were most, a park in the Bronx.
Right, right.
We love our Bronx parks, but go ahead.
The challenging thing about outside, especially coming in the production world, is the audio, is the sound.
No question.
So the scenery may be beautiful, but you're dealing with the outside element. So that's been kind of challenging and difficult. But I want to say the oddest or weirdest places really have been inside. I tried to do the mini studio now, but I can't do that green screen.
The green screen. But you can't have a show, and I'm just going to say it, you can't have a show called Natural Sessions
and be inside
and be on a green screen.
Yeah, no, right?
There's nothing more unnatural than that. Every weathercaster is in front of a.
Exactly.
If anybody's ever seen it in the studio, they're just in front of a blank screen.
Exactly. How rude. I'm so sorry.
Why? Because you said something bad about talk shows?
No, because the phone just went off.
Oh, there's a phone.
And it's funny because coming from production, I'm always the one that says before the set, everyone turn off their phones.
Oh, I didn't hear it. It's perfectly fine. Let's talk about the Untitled Journey, which is what motivated you to say, hey, Gary, put me on the show. I want to show this thing.
Yeah.
Tell me what the Untitled Journey is.
So I recently have embraced that I, too, am an artist. We think because we're in production work that that's not some type of artistry, but it really takes an eye to tell a story behind the scenes or in front of the camera. So the Untitled Journey is my first independent documentary, short. Yes, honey. My first film, 27 minutes of a story about a living artist where I followed her for a few days through what it's like being a living artist. She's a living artist, he's a teaching artist, and people, what's that saying that you get your flowers when you're dead? Most artists get their flowers when they're dead.
I didn't hear that, and I'm really unhappy to hear that.
Well, there's a saying.
For obvious reasons.
There's a saying that artists or painters, they get their flowers or recognition when they're dead. I kind of wanted to show what that journey looks like before she's in the ground.
Before she actually earns
right, you know what I'm saying? And all the beauty and challenges that come with that, which really was my own story, but as the filmmaker, I told her story.
Who is the artist?
Her name is Harlem/Bronx native Alethea Brown.
Okay. Alethea Brown.
Alethea Brown.
Very good. And so we're going to show a clip, and then afterwards I have some follow-up thing
Cool.
I'm going to ask you about. So this is now why Untitled? Why don't we just give it a title?
Because I couldn't think of one.
Well, we'll watch and then maybe we'll come up with a title.
Right.
All right, here is a clip from a 27-minute documentary that will be shown on Natural Sessions. We're not sure.
Well, Natural Sessions is its own show, but it will be shown
It'll
in
be
a bunch
shown.
of different screenings all throughout the United States this year.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Untitled Journey.
My name is Catherine Warren Bishop, and I am the director, filmmaker of The Untitled Journey. I embraced what it is that I'm called to do, which is tell stories. I consider myself a griot, and I was set on this path to tell the world about the life of a living artist.
Untitled Journey. I poetically share the story of Alethea Brown, visionary. As I travel through days with her, filming her experiences on the other side of the life lens.
Because I am an artist. This isn't a glamour thing. This isn't a thing just because I think it's hot to do. This is who I am. That's like asking me, why be a woman? Why be black? You know, I find it fascinating and frustrating when people ask that question. Why do I do what I do? I'm not doing what I do. I'm answering the call I was given.
And I love the fact that my team is basically all women, and the editor is a woman. I love the fact that my main subject is a woman. I love the fact that my camera person is a woman. I love the fact that my production team is women. So, The Untitled Journey. All right, it's your girl Kat from the Kitty Rose Lifestyle.
All right, there it is.
Yay! Thank you.
A
Thank you.
piece of the Untitled Journey.
A
One thing I
snippet.
just wanted to talk about, and you're actually wearing your BronxNet badge. You know, the whole notion of BronxNet television, and you know, because I mean, there
Tell
are
it.
Channel 67, and we have professional programs, but we have 3 full channels of access producers. You probably would use the word, it's a blessing. It's really a wonderful thing that the people of the Bronx get to make their own programs on BronxNet. So why don't you address that and talk about that? And where that is in relation to what we just saw.
Exactly. Well, I mean, like you said, I would refer to it as a blessing.
I knew you would.
But it is, you know, it is. I mean, you know, one, you get the training to learn how to tell stories, and then you get the access to equipment and locations to tell your story. And then you get the opportunity to branch out and do more different other things with this medium, like become a filmmaker. You know, who knew but the divine that this was going to be my journey, which is probably another reason why I call it the Untitled Journey, because the journey we on has so many different layers. And I think rather than avoid them because we don't understand what's happening, or it might not go align with what we thought we were doing, why not just embrace it and follow the journey, or follow the path of the journey that the divine has us on, which is what, you know, me taking advantage of becoming a BronxNet producer allowed me to do, because starting television allowed me to become a filmmaker.
You know, as you know, I've been in journalism and TV and radio also for a very long time. Despite that, I am well aware that there are stories to be told in this incredibly large and diverse borough of 1.4 million people that we, professionals in the business, don't get a chance to tell.
Right.
And having people like you and others tell their own story is really a really important thing. And it allows us, maybe nobody ever would have looked at Alicia Brown and looked at her great work, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
To me, I just think, and it's one of the reasons why I'm on this station, it's just so important.
And it feels good to be in the street and have people come up to you and tell you that they
saw
see you on
your show.
TV.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm a lightweight little, celebrity here in the Bronx.
Right.
You know.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. And then, the tools that I learned at BronxNet allowed me to grow as an artist, allowed me to grow as a producer, where I was able to develop other concepts or go to other streaming platforms.
How do you choose what you want to put on the program? I just said, there's 1.4 million stories in the naked
Right.
city or in the naked borough, but how do you select and say, this is something I want to do?
Well, I have a lot of people who reach out to me that want to come on the show. And then I have a huge network because of my 20 plus years in my previous industry of relationships that I've developed. So it's a combination of people I know and people who call to come on, and I never have a topic. I never have a subject. What I do is I just talk. I just talk. And then in editing comes the theme of the show. In editing, the light bulb moment comes on. I'm like, that's what the show is about.
Right.
So in editing is where I develop what the show is going to be about and what the theme is. But I let people know that when they come on, that it's going to be a free-for-all. Like, I'm just going to talk and I'm going to be in your business.
We're almost out of time. Who's next or what's next? Obviously, the Untitled Journey, you're going to go and you're going to move that around.
Yes.
But who's next and what's next?
Well, I start the 4th season of Natural Sessions, so I start shooting that at the end of March. But I'm excited right now about the Untitled Journey. Right now, this month, it's on See Me channel See Me TV and the On channel for Black History Month and Women's Month. So that's my big thing right now.
And if people want more information about you or the Untitled Journey, how do they do that?
Find me on Instagram. Find me on Instagram at Ms. MZ Kitty Rose. YouTube, all those things, or catch me Wednesdays 12 a.m.
That's right.
at BronxNet, baby.
I would say stay up late, but people who will be interested
They
in the
repeat
show,
me on Thursdays. I just don't know what time.
No, it's fine. Listen, Kitty Rose, good luck.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks for coming by, showing your stuff. We hope you're going to come back and keep promoting good things and good people in the Bronx.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Guess what happens now? Nothing. We say goodbye. So that is all for our program. We will see you Monday night. Bronx Talk, we're going to have 2 Bronx elected officials, state officials, so we're going to get into what's been going on in the state legislature. Gustavo Rivera, a senator, and Victor Pichardo, an assembly member, will join us on Bronx Talk Monday night. Good night.